morning. I'm having some problem with my internet connection, so it's possible that I'll get disconnected very quickly. If that happens, I probably won't re-upload today because there seems to be a DDoS attack on Finland, and some of the bank networks are down, and there's some similar hub about it. But on to the topic of today. I shall be discussing chakras and the density model. And the main point of this course, which I'm hoping to make a series, is to help you understand some hippie concepts intuitively without understanding the hippie language, referring these concepts to other languages that a normal, somewhat academically inclined person is going to understand. So, starting with the simple, the chakra model, all you need to do to understand the chakra model is to visualize Maslow's pyramid of needs, the hierarchy of needs, and invert it. Not in as much in what those desires are stated to be, but in its basic design. The lowest level, the ground, the base chakra, is the narrowest point. It is the point with the least amount of petals or choices that you can make. It has the least amount of variety. While you can artificially create variety therein, the base of organic life is centered around 4. And as somebody who understands your DNA, that is a very interesting number. They are saying that the base level, this chakra model is saying that the base level is 4 petals, and it is the base of all. Now, some of these details change from model to model. Some of them have different colors, different names, even different numbers of petals, but the same concept of there being a lower amount in the lower chakras is the case. It is almost universally the case. Also, near universally, the number of chakras is either 7 or 9 or 12. It is almost never 5 or 10. Though I have seen some models, I believe, that have 10. And I am thinking that there's one model that I'm aware of that has 8. Most of them have 7 or 9 or 12. And also there's a new virus going around. There we go. As we and everybody who knows anything about infectious diseases, those who have played Mass Effect and know who the Quarians are and who the Krogan are very much aware of the following. When you shield yourself from diseases, after a while, you won't be able to protect yourself naturally. But enough of that. That is for another topic. And these chakras, these densities, they are almost always layered in that the one above, the one that you must reach from the lower point, has more petals or choices. And their notes are almost always mathematical, so that if you chart, depending on the model, something along the lines of prime numbers, what's that conjecture thing, or one of these series of mathematical truths, you will find that one of them at the very least contains your particular chakra model's numbers from the top bottom to the up. That's because the people who made this, the Indian, and I'm not talking about Native American, I'm talking about Indian, have been very interested in mathematics throughout history. So when they had a religion or a spiritual philosophy, they tried to inject as much mathematics into it as they could get their hands on. That's one of their main points. So be prepared for there to be a variety of chakra models. Be prepared for there to be a variety of models in general. But a couple of things you should be expecting to encounter is some kind of progression in mathematical terms that follows logic that you can understand, and some form of progression from the lowest having the least and the highest having the most. That is what you can expect in the chakra models. That is very much tied to the Indian subcontinent's people. And you will also almost certainly see something to the effect of each chakra having a color, a human-produced sound, such as Om, and something resembling a musical note that you can find on a piano. If you take the chakras stated musical note and know your harmonics on a soundboard, you can literally go pee, and this particular chakra is supposed to sound like this, which means that the people of the Indian subcontinent thought that the word spirituality, for example, sounds like this particular note. It doesn't mean more than that. So the chakra model is, as I stated, a model which is to be adjusted. You know, when you do a model, that you're supposed to adjust it for everyone. But you're also supposed to forward some sort of instructional on how it's supposed to be adjusted. Without clues as to how to adjust it, you could just as easily not have any at all. If you just say adjust it, they're going to change things that may not need to be changed. And if you tell them to adjust specific points that you made for your people only, and in specifically that period of history only, you can very easily turn, for example, the tune of the sex chakra from its sound, which was in the Indian language, what they were finding for it, to something along the lines of Miley Cyrus's new tune. You could very easily do that change and then publish your chakra model and say why you think this represents the Western sexuality. You could change the note, the shape, the picture, the colors, the functions, but for it to be a proper chakra model, I cannot say must, because when you say must, somebody will break your law, but must contain the mathematical progression and lowest has least, because that's how it's basically centered. Though I am sure somebody has made one where the lowest has the most petals, but that is the essence of the chakra model. That is because all life, even mineral, has the lowest level. And as you verify, you become more able. You process through. You take the base that is given unto you, you work it around in your mind, make a model of what you want to do with that particular base, and then you put it out there. The making the model part is the sexuality chakra, which is one above the base, and putting it out there is the social chakra. Now, without going yet into the other chakras, these three are pretty universal. They are pretty universally understood to be the same. Some add earth chakra below the base chakra because the base is usually located at the base of the spine, and they add the earth chakra to the gravity well you are standing on. Now, this is more of a modern thing, but it makes sense because as we understand the centers of consciousness around which we form our being, we will be able to add new chakras and new densities, because one of the things that humans have, according to this Indian mythology, is in comparison to gods, is the ability to change. So therefore, we must make the best of it, because gods are immortal. It is possible for a god to change, but being immortal and somewhat tied to their role, such a change is more the stuff of legends than everyday life. The wind will blow. It may blow differently at different times, but it will still blow. If we manage to cook this planet to a hellhole, cut all the forests and poison all the waters, the wind will still blow. It will just be a different wind. There will be a different avatar for the god, but the god will remain. In this way, the gods, the laws of physics, don't really change. The avatar, the part of the god through which you experience that god, can change if we change towards it. But the god itself does not change, only the avatar. But I am, even after having studied alternative healthcare, chakras and such, for a living, not just as a hobby, but for a living, you are in fact watching me through one of the devices one of my somewhat students bought me or gifted me. So I'm doing this for a living. I'm still getting stuff for it. It's not just curiosity. Even for somebody who's done this for a living, knowing the truth about the Indian mythos is near impossible. So do expect there to be personal opinions. And for a topic as vast as this, I can sometimes separate my personal opinions from the cold literal truth, but do not take it for granted. If you do and you put my opinion into a test where somebody else's opinion matters, even if I were to be more correct, because this is greatly an opinion field, you would get a failing grade. Some things that I know to be opinions that you can compare to for opinions here on how easy it is to spot an opinion as opposed to actually speaking something resembling truth, is that I believe atheists and Satanists are religions, as in atheism and Satanism are religions. Now, this is wildly against what people consider to be true, but that's my opinion. Stuff like that you may be able to separate from the cold hard truth, because my opinion may not sound so true, but what do I know? So, the chakra model. The sexual chakra, or the second chakra, often referred to as the sacral chakra, is the seat of all your movements towards sociality, but do not contain anything social in and of themselves. They are movements towards. In most models, these chakras are divided into active and passive chakras, where it only informs the next chakra but does not participate in it directly. And these are different from group to group, but as far as I can tell, the sexual chakra itself is an inactive chakra. in that sexual activity is done through the social network, whereby it automatically raises to at least the third chakra. Sexual activity done unto yourself for the sake of reproduction is possible for many bacterial beings, and it was in fact the norm for our type of life for the longest period of time, because we were bacteria and we reproduced through cell division. And it was active, but after we decided to require a mate for breeding, it became inactive, in that it can be activated by thought, but in and of itself, if not actively thought upon, it does nothing. Therefore, in my opinion, in modern humans, the sexual chakra is an inactive chakra. Now, the social chakra, the solar plexus, sometimes called the soul seat, the immovable object, many things, the thing around which our current reality is based upon social interaction. This is, in some works, referred to as the soul. In others, it is the heart. In others, it is the core star, which would be in this model that I'm describing to you, the second edition after the earth chakra, if I recall correctly, but it is possible that I do not. It would be the third. The second is between the root and the sacral, if I recall correctly, but once again, I may not. And the social is all your social interactions whatsoever. So when you help a friend and feel good, you feel it in your upper part of the stomach. Some feel it lower, but the general consensus was that it's roughly at the solar plexus. And that is where you feel it. It should be between where your rib cage ends and your stomach begins, and about an inch above your belly button, roughly in that area. That should be your social center, the solar plexus. And it is also referred to sometimes as the choice center, because choices made here finally take shape in all other realities. So without making the choice to make a choice of ethical nature, if you will, whether or not your pursuits will, in the end up benefiting you or other people, there is no progression. But progression after such a choice is made is equal for both sides. This is nearly universal in the chakral model. But to understand and progress, once you do reach the social level, you will eventually see that you have to make one of two fundamental decisions. Either you serve yourself or you serve others. You have to make that fundamental choice. It may sound easy, or rather easier, to make one-sided choices than others. And if this is truly true for you, I congratulate you. You no longer live on the social network. I will explain shortly where you live. But for most humans, this process of choice takes generations for a social trend to emerge in your bloodline, where it is clear that you either do things for yourself or for your community. It is beyond generations. It is beyond rare to happen. It is beyond uncommon. But if for you, the choice is clear, that in the end, at the end of the day, a skinny woman, then your choice is welcome back. I believe that illustrates the choice. Now, after you've made the choice, the next layer is the center. This is the pre-dream level. Once your choice layer becomes crystallized in that you understand before it happens how you would react to any given situation, because you have gone through the social, you have thought about it, or you have lived it, but either way, you understand the social. If you know how you would act in all possible situations completely, then you have completely crystallized to the heart level, but such complete crystallization is exceedingly rare. You only need to crystallize somewhat. And once you reach the heart, magical powers for the first time in your bloodline will become more than apparent to both you and others. You will start to take on, depending on which choice you made, a eerie feeling. You will be a person around which others describe feeling strongly a specific sensation. You will have made a choice. A good example of somebody who has made the choice to serve others is Keanu Reeves. Hats out to him. He has clearly made the choice to be one of the herd. While not being very generous or living like a monk, his dedication to being one of us is so overwhelmingly strong that he simply exudes normality. That is a choice. He has reached the heart density. He is a modern day saint. In as much as a saint can be a saint. Now, the heart experience is deathless but not dreamless. In that death happens because of boredom and tiredness with the form. You simply want to experience another form. There's no disease or hostility towards your form that ends it. You simply go, okay, I've spent 65,000 years terraforming that planet. Now I want to throw my biomass on the surface of that planet, have it decompose, wait unconsciously for 10 million years, then take a giant die with one side having each specific animal downright to bacteria, and then go like, "Ah!" and then simply remake myself. That will be death at fourth density. Average fourth chakra, fourth density. Average estimates of life expectancy in fourth density is 65,000. In a single body. That's what they say. Third is said to be 900. That is what the chakra model says based on looking at our mythology of ancient beings, how long they lived if they followed different life paths. That's how they say you can determine who is what and where. And after you have made the choice, you live in the heart. Once again, this expands. The heart petals are, I think, around 60, but it changes depending on the material. So I'm not going to do like a complete rundown on every single chakra because that's not what I'm here for. I'm here for kind of like a comparison. And as a curious side note, the heart chakra is green usually. That is its usual color. Solar plexus is, if you didn't get from solar that it's between yellow and orange, then it's very unfortunate. Depends on how well it's going. These chakras, colors, and shapes based on people who have better astral sight that I do, according to them, their colors and shapes change dramatically from person to person, and sometimes even when the person is doing motions. So usage of a single point of entry for how your chakras are doing, and then taking a 10-year life plan based on that is not appropriate. Not appropriate. You should be, as quickly as is humanely possible, be educated to do all the work for you and require no professional aid of anybody whatsoever. Then if you do the work yourself and you don't bother us, the work is done. We have made another God. A God that did not depend on us for help. We are content. That's why work such as quick comparative analysis is very valuable, even if underrepresented in this field. After the heart, the next step is one where most saints, humans included, including myself, have tremendous difficulty, and that is straightforward communication. Especially one that is mutual, where you communicate, then they communicate, then you communicate. That makes a DNA. Now, the interesting part about this is that if you've been following this with a biological note, you will note that we are building an RNA strand. And once it reaches either the heart or the communicative center, depending on how you view it at the latest, you need to go from RNA to DNA. You need to merge with everybody else in your society, either through them helping your specific structure or their existence, even when they oppose you, helping your specific structure, and then not caring whether or not they help you, because they help you always. That's the difference. When you care whether or not they help you, rather than that they help somebody, even if it's like their overlord, then you have crossed into the good domain, in my opinion, in this chakra model. For references, you could read the Law of One, for example. It has a very good religious view of this, but I'm trying to keep this as non-religious as I can. The heart chakra is usually pictured as being one of melodic green grass and fields. Very many meditations are centered around the heart start in this environment. But we are approaching the inner teachings, which are person to person due to their nature. So I will be quiet about that. But after open communication, which is the throat, the next one is the forehead, which is the third eye, which is, roughly speaking, the ability to visualize into reality or dream while being awake. Lucid awake is a word that I could use. A person who is a sixth density and has themselves open to their sixth density is so difficult to comprehend for a normal human that simply calling them God does not do them justice. It is not that they have powers, because fourth density or fourth chakra is where magic begins. It is that their personality is so radically different in how it actually does things that it is difficult for a human to comprehend. It can be done, but it is difficult. It takes decades, if you will. Though, to be honest, it can happen in 5 seconds. So that is the forehead. It is the ability to visualize and bring into reality. And each of these chakras has on its front a grasping from reality, and through out the back is making into reality as well as accepting reality coming into you, depending on how you want to view the fourth. So if you have, for example, constant neck pains, but your throat is generally fine, then it is pretty apparent that your throat chakra is blocked at the back. And then you can start to calculate which could be the potential causes, knowing the biology of the upper back. That is how it works. If you present to somebody who uses this model with a disease, they try to look at you and determine which region of you is the diseased one based on how you act. And if they determine that you are, for example, suffering from kidney stones, they will focus on the lower chakras. Though some progress more towards other chakras, I have seen the general trend to be of focusing in on the part that hurts and trying to figure out why. Some alternative healers are phenomenally good at what they do. They are beyond belief good. I can only hope that if I continue adamantly in this field for another decade or two, I will be half as good as them. And some of them are such unbelievable hacks that trolling them for funsies is the right thing to do. And some, I would even go so far as to say the majority, are summoning their social center. They are looking through their mind's eye without the heart's interference at their social center and explaining what they see. And the reason for this is that they are looking for comparison points in what you do, in that if they change something towards their social circle, how long will it take for it to percolate to your social center? So if it's something like this person has never heard of this particular corner saying this and this, then it's immediate. If it's you requiring a change of somebody in your life in a dramatic fashion, then we need to evaluate who that person is in relation to you, find ourselves in that person, then make a change of how we do as that person, then for you, then recommend for you the counterbalance to get them to change quicker. Like if we notice an imbalance, that is how we do in alternative health. But moving to the next one. That was clearly an overactive everything. The next one is the crown chakra. The crown, top of the head. It is here. And that is the divine center, if you will. It is the 1,000 petal lotus, and it is, depending on your mythology, pure light, however you want to describe that. The lowest center was originally pure darkness, but with the addition of the earth chakra, there are some changes. The crown chakra is not so much you, but the giant solar panel which picks up you, if you want to visualize it well. It's like an organism which builds a healthy flower at its top, and that flower's primary job is to pick up the sun. The you that we are talking to when we talk to you in a normal fashion is either the social or the heart. This is primarily how we do things. It might be other chakras. It depends on the density of the person talking. But the you that is running the show, if you will, the real dreamer of your life, is the crown chakra at the top of the head. And these chakras correspond to the densities, and the densities are the basis of most New Age religions. And the idea density comes from the fact that organic life seems to progress from less dense to more dense as time goes on. And it seems that at the end of this evolution is some form of density that we cannot fathom. And the idea is that everybody just slowly increases their density and continues forward. And what you will get is some kind of system that both continues forever and has a definitive point where the universe's search for more density through this choice, this heart, is completed. And then we will, as a universe, all of us, decide what the next dream is. And the New Age religion roughly states that the universe has these dreams. It sets a specific goal to test in a specific universe, jumps into that universe, lives through it, then jumps out and decides on a next dream. And different universes, different logos, different gods choose different universes. And ourselves, our logos, our God has decided on this, the choice. This is how this universe turns. And the choice is, as I said earlier, simply, do you serve yourself or do you serve others? It is not about purity. It is about getting over the 50% mark. Some religions have different criteria. Some say you have to be 95% selfish and serving of yourself, and 90 only 50% unselfish. But I do not subscribe to that. I'm just mentioning it. In my view, if you reach 50% of your actions serving others or serving yourself, immediately at that point, your next choice can be to give the other 50% eternally and irrevocably over to all other forms of life. Therefore, unto your shadow. If you do that, you have immediately harvested to the fourth density. There is no delay in it. This is a rather old but very important religious point. Very important. And you progress through these densities, chakras, starting from the bottom. And when you're human, you are either very late second density or very early fourth density if you are able to maintain a human forms that others perceive to be human. As you raise in those densities, others will start to have disbelief at believing that you are organic. They will literally start to hallucinate you away, and you will fall into this state of the rest of observable people hallucinating that you do not exist. Your magic powers are too apparent, and the only way to come down is to dirty yourself. That was a third density magician of fairly potent power who's also some kind of wisp knocking to the police about a very specific thought in the background relating to how crime and punishment should be organized according to this model. He knocked at, can you fuckers hear this? he knew that I was on the radio with the police. Ever since people have noticed what Norse Map actually does and the fact that I can look at it for hours on end without vomiting, they've decided that I'm a police officer. Anything relating to police, they're referring to me. It's a little unnerving, but on the upside, for some reason, my body is all like muscular. I don't know why. I've gained 15 kilos and my belt size hasn't increased one. From dropping to 75 back to 85 to 90. My belt size hasn't increased one. What the hell was going on? Is this one of the blessings I keep hearing rumors about? Is this a blessing? Sounds like it could be good. But on the other hand, considering how bad a reaction I had to testosterone, we can conclude that this might be good. This might be from the testosterone going away. Seems like God's greatest curse, testosterone and estrogen. Holy fucking shit, boss. I'm gonna give one gender only a transmitter. The other one gets a tiny bit, but he's never gonna get more than the other one. And it's gonna be the dominant transmitter for the next 15 years after a lifetime of using all the other transmitters. Oh, nice. Now you really fucked, man. Fucked, I tell you. So yeah. Oot sä, että mä raportoin ton tyypin skitsofreniaksi? Tai itse mitä niillä kemikaaleilla tapahtuu sen jälkeen? Sä et saa mua tosta kadusta ylös edes vittu puskutraktorilla. Sä joudut menee semmosella miinasilppurilla ja vetää sen koko jutun. One moment. Locals. So, unless I'm mistaken, this lecture is about an end, at about its end. We made it through in 45 minutes, so that gives you a 15-minute lunch break if we calculate this as an hour. Seems about right. That's how I do it if I was a teacher. So I'm gonna take 1 minute from your 15 minutes, And I'm going to ponder if there's anything that I want to say and wait for if anybody happens to actually be on the chat, because the calculator of people watching isn't actually accurate. I've noticed I get comments when the watching number is 0. I don't know why, but I do keep getting them. So you tell me. Okay. I might do the next one about Sasquatch. Thank you.